Today would have been Nolan Wells' 19th birthday. Instead of a party, there's a vigil tonight in Biloxi. And in the middle of it, the district attorney, who has stayed silent for over a month, just broke that silence with a statement that reads less like an update and more like a warning. Stay right here, because what she said and what happened in the 24 hours around it changes this case. For over a month, Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath has said almost nothing publicly about this case beyond one short recorded statement back on July 23rd. Yesterday, that changed. She released a full written statement, and it does not read like a typical prosecutor's update. It reads like someone finally responding to pressure she's been absorbing in silence for weeks. Here's part of what she wrote, in her own words. I do not have the freedom to release letters I've sent in this investigation, discuss witness cooperation, or the testing of evidence. I do not have the freedom to identify what information is verified and what information is false. And then comes the line that should stop you cold. She wrote, with all of the public pressure being placed on my office, filling the void would only serve to get pressure off of me. Nolan deserves better. There is no pressure that can be placed on me, and no force that is greater than the weight of the oath I took. So who is this statement actually aimed at? She never says Ben Crump's name. She never says the NAACP. She never says Congress. But read the statement again with those names in mind, and it becomes obvious who she means. She wrote, public commentary does not make the speaker transparent, just like exercising restraint consistent with the law does not make the process corrupt. The fact that something is said does not necessarily mean it's actually true. That's a direct shot at every press conference, every public letter, every statement Nolan's legal team has put out over the past 6 weeks. She's saying, talking a lot doesn't make you honest, and my silence doesn't make me dishonest either. Then she goes further. She says she cannot control what private individuals release publicly, meaning she cannot stop Crump's team from publishing letters, statements, or updates. But she's making it clear she believes some of what's been shared has been, in her words, twisted or misconstrued. Now hold on to that tension. A prosecutor pushing back against a family's legal team, because at the exact same time this was happening, a second major organization just stepped directly into this fight. Just one day before that DA statement dropped, the NAACP officially announced they are joining the legal effort in the Nolan Wells case. Not just issuing a statement of support, their Office of General Counsel, led by Kristen Clark, confirmed they are now actively working alongside the family's legal team. Stop and count what that actually means. This case already had Ben Crump's team leading an independent investigation. It already had the Congressional Black Caucus, with sitting members of the United States Congress writing directly to the Attorney General and the FBI Director. Now add the NAACP, one of the oldest and most influential civil rights organizations in the country, formally entering the case. That is 3 separate powerful institutions, all converging on one investigation out of Jackson County, Mississippi. Think about the pressure that combination puts on local investigators. This is no longer a case being watched by true crime channels and social media. This is a case with actual institutional legal muscle behind it, in real time, escalating week by week. Here's something that slipped into new reporting this week almost as a footnote, and it deserves far more attention than it's gotten. It's not just the autopsy that's complete and sealed. The toxicology results are done too. Toxicology testing checks for alcohol, drugs, anything chemical that could explain what state Nolan was in during his final hours. That test has been completed, and just like the autopsy, none of it has been made public. It's sitting in the same sealed file, waiting on the same grand jury. Now put that detail next to the DA's own statement from this week, where she wrote plainly that she does not have the freedom to discuss the testing of evidence. That line reads very differently once you know exactly what testing she's referring to. 2 completed medical findings, 0 public answers, and a DA who just spent an entire public statement explaining, in detail, exactly why she's legally required to keep it that way. While all of this plays out at the institutional level, Congress, the NAACP, the DA's office, there's a much quieter, much darker consequence happening on the ground in Ocean Springs. Attorneys for 3 of the friends who were with Nolan that day, Warren Hudson, Jax Patalo, and Morgan Seymour, say their clients have effectively become pariahs in their own hometown. Pariahs. That's not my word. That's the word their own attorneys are using publicly. According to new reporting this week, these 3 teenagers have received death threats. They face defamation online. Some of them haven't been able to return to school. Others have reportedly been refused service in their own town. Remember, none of these 3 have been charged with anything. All 3 have cooperated with investigators, according to their attorneys. And yet, in the vacuum created by a sealed autopsy, sealed toxicology results, and a DA legally unable to say much of anything, these are the people absorbing the public's anger in the meantime. And it's not only the friends. Nolan's own father, Elmore Wonsley, said this week that his wife, a nurse practitioner, has been hit with what he described as a sudden barrage of negative reviews from total strangers. He put it simply, the disrespect that's been coming toward my wife and my family. For any parent, no matter what race you are, they need time to grieve. This is what happens when an information vacuum goes on for 6 weeks. It doesn't stay contained to Twitter arguments and comment sections. It reaches actual teenagers who can't go to school, and a grieving mother getting attacked over her career. Here's the part of this that should genuinely unsettle you, regardless of what you personally believe happened on Horn Island. Every single person absorbing this harassment right now is someone the investigation itself has not accused of anything. Not officially, not even unofficially, according to their own attorneys. The people facing real-world consequences and the people who actually hold the answers are not the same people. Whoever is sending death threats to teenagers or leaving fake reviews on a nurse practitioner's page isn't punishing anyone connected to what actually happened to Nolan. They're just adding more damage to a situation that already has more grief in it than most families could carry in a lifetime, on both sides of this case. So right now you've got a DA finally breaking her silence with a pointed public statement. The NAACP stepped in as a 3rd major institutional player. Sealed toxicology results nobody's talking about. And real teenagers, real families, absorbing real consequences while the actual evidence stays locked away. All of that is already a lot. But tonight, all of it collides in one place, on one day. Tonight at 7 p.m., Greater St. John, AME Church in Biloxi will host a prayer vigil for what would have been Nolan Wells' 19th birthday. Pastor Jamal Bryant is expected to join Nolan's family and supporters. Doors open at 6:30. Organizers are telling attendees to expect security screening before entering, and they're warning the public that space will be limited, which tells you exactly how large a crowd they're anticipating. Think about what today actually represents. This is not just a somber anniversary tucked quietly into a news cycle. This is the same week the DA finally spoke publicly for the first time. The same week the NAACP formally joined the case. The same week Congress's response deadline is running out. And now, tonight, hundreds of people are expected to physically gather in one building to mark a birthday that should have been ordinary. Every single thread in this update is converging on this exact week. Not because anyone planned it that way, but because that's simply how this case has built momentum, week after week, since July. So here's the real question hanging over this entire update. If the evidence really does point toward a simple accident, why does it take a statement this pointed, this defensive, to hold the line on keeping it sealed? And why does it take 3 national organizations, all converging in the same week, to keep this case moving forward at all? Tonight, while a community gathers in Biloxi to sing and pray for a birthday Nolan never got to have, the actual answers everyone is demanding are still locked in a file, waiting on a grand jury that still doesn't have a date, a prosecutor who finally spoke but said nothing new, a civil rights organization that just added its full weight to this fight, and a family walking into a church tonight to celebrate a son who should have been turning 19 with them, not without them. I'll be tracking every one of these threads, the DA's next move, the NAACP's involvement, whatever comes out of tonight's vigil, the moment any of it breaks. If you want to be first to know what happens next in the Nolan Wells case, hit subscribe right now, because this update alone should tell you this story is far from finished.